In this video, I'm going to give a one-year update on our 2023 Corvette. It now has 12,000 miles on it. We've driven it all the way down to Tail of the Dragon and all the way up to Tunnel of Trees in Michigan. I've had it on the dyno, on the racetrack. I'm going to talk about a couple of the modifications we've made, future modifications we're thinking about, as well as a couple of problems that have cropped up. Not major ones, but things we've noticed over the course of our 1 year of ownership. All that's coming up in this video. Let's begin with a quick overview of the car. It is a 2023. It now has a little over 12,000 miles on it. We picked it up on June the 8th, 2022, but we believe it was built May the 24th, 2022, which would have been the second day of production. It does have a VIN number that ends in 00114, which is why we believe it was built on the second day. As far as options, we did check 2LT option package, as well as Z51 performance, magnetic ride control, front lift system, yellow brake calipers, and yellow seat belts. All that totaled came to a sticker price of $82,525. Although if you order the same configuration today, I believe since the time we ordered it, they've added about $3,000 or $3,500 to that price tag. The very first maintenance we did to the car was actually before we even picked it up. We had the 2 quarts of additional transmission fluid added to it, as well as I had the brake system flushed and high performance brake fluid put in because I knew I'd be spending some time on the racetrack with the car. If you're curious, you can see in the dash here that since we bought it, we're getting an average fuel economy of 17.9 miles per gallon. Although I will mention that my wife does do quite a bit of highway driving with it back and forth to work. And so perhaps other people, if you drive it a little harder, will get less than that. When it comes to modifications, one of the first things we did is we had the scrape armor grills put in to protect the radiators on each side from possible damage in the event that stones fly through this large opening. Now this protectant here will deflect those stones instead of letting them through to damage the radiator grills. That runs about $400. I want to say the dealer charged $100 to install it, although they're probably relatively easy to install yourself if you wanted to. We also had Lingenfelter Auto Spa right in Michigan install the Expel protectant on the front. So we do have a clear protectant, covers the entire front end, the hood, the headlights. It covers the mirrors. In fact, you can kind of see a line here. It covers the A-pillars across the top here to protect it from potential stone chips. That cost was about $2,500. They did an outstanding job in case you're looking for somebody to install that for you. One of the other modifications or add-ons to the car is this unique kind of boomerang license plate frame. So you notice it kind of matches the angular here on the back of the car. And so we bought that, I want to say on eBay or Amazon, and it runs about $100. A couple of other add-ons. We did buy the Chevy Sunshade, which was $130 to put in the window to help protect the dashboard. We do store the car in the winter here in Michigan, and so we did add a $150 car cover that we bought online, as well as a battery tender for $110 from Chevrolet. So when it comes to potential future upgrades for the car, I'm going to open the back here. I would say at some point we'll probably add an engine appearance package. This is just the standard cover for the engine. There's also some people that have had these strut towers can be covered. There's covers you can get to go over them. And so this is the mag ride here. And so I'd have to get one that custom fits around the mag ride. That's something we may add. And then the last thing I would say is possibly to ceramic coat the vehicle, which is something that we've discussed, but I haven't figured out if we're going to do it yet. Now let's talk about issues with the car. On at least 2 occasions that we can think of, we have gotten in the car and gone to start it up, and this center dash has just been black. Nothing comes up. And what we find is if you shut the car off and turn it back on, the screen comes right back up and it works just fine. So it's not something we can replicate. Like I said, in a year it's only happened twice, and considering how much we drive it, considering it's got over 12,000 miles on it, we decided until it becomes more persistent, we decided we're just going to live with it. So we're hopeful that maybe some kind of over-the-air update might be able to fix the problem. We're not really sure what it is. And then the other thing is a problem that I created. I was out on the racetrack, and I went out on the track and forgot to put the drive mode into track mode. And so while I was on the racetrack in tour mode, I moved it over to sport, and then I moved it again over to track mode and ran a few laps, and everything was fine. And I pulled it off, stopped it, shut it off. When I went back to start it back up, the check engine light came on, and I did a little video about this, but there was an issue between the engine and the transmission, weren't communicating properly. I think I just confused the computers in trying under load on a racetrack to be changing the drive modes. And so once we put an OBD2 connector on it and cleared the codes, it went away and it has never come back. So to me, I kind of created that problem. I wouldn't call it necessarily a problem with the vehicle. I would just say it was something that happened. Now, the one other mystery of the car was one day, I don't know, I want to say maybe a month ago, the car was sitting in the garage. I was upstairs on my computer, not touching my iPhone. I was not on the My Chevy app. I did not have my key. It was laying on the kitchen counter. My wife was on her phone, but she was on Facebook Messenger and was not in the My Chevy app. Her key was laying in her purse, and we heard the car start in the garage. Most bizarre thing, we're still befuddled on how the car managed to start. And so I've even put it up on the Facebook message boards, asked if anybody else has had this problem, and nobody has chimed in to say they've had it happen to them. But it's only happened once. We don't know how the car started. We don't believe either one of us started the car. It's got a gremlin. For some reason, the car decided to start. When it comes to wear points on the car, there's the obvious one of getting in and out of the vehicle where you're dragging your feet over the door sill. And so it's not holding up too bad, although you can see we have scraped this door panel a few times, getting our feet in and out. I would say the side bolster on the seat is held up very well. So that's going to be a common wear point. I would bet when we get to 100,000 miles, that'll show some wear. So, and then I would come over here and tell you that brake dust on wheels is a serious problem. These wheels are almost impossible to keep clean. Now, I haven't tried any of the third-party applications that you can put on wheels to prevent brake dust from collecting. If you've got a recommendation, drop me a comment below and let me know what works well for you. But they're starting to show some wear on them. But otherwise, the car is really held up very well with very little wear. There are a lot of things to love about this car. I think it looks great. It gets compliments everywhere I go. This is the first generation that the targa top is light enough that my wife feels comfortable enough to take it off and put it back on by herself. And we've had C4s, 5s, and 6s. Now, we didn't own a C7, but all of those, she could kind of get it off on her own, but she had a really hard time trying to get it back on by herself. I would tell you that the performance is wonderful. Acceleration is great. There's a lot of talk about transmission issues. Knock on wood, which I wish I had some to knock on. No problems whatsoever with the transmission. So I would say it drives wonderful. It's comfortable. We've taken it on long trips. We drove it down to Tail of the Dragon with a group of other Corvette owners and had a great time. If you're considering buying one of the things that comes with it, of course, is the discounted package to the Ron Fellows Performance Driving School. I highly recommend. Spend the $1,000, fly to Vegas, take the class. It's totally worth it. Even if you're someone who doesn't plan on tracking your car, it's a wonderful experience to learn all about launch control and ABS braking and traction control systems. And there's a lot of things. Learn about maintenance of the vehicle. I mean, they cover a lot of things. It's not all just time on a racetrack. So like every automobile, this car is not perfect, and there are things I don't like about it. In fact, I did a whole video about that, the things that I hate. And hate's kind of a strong word about this car. I'll put a link up here and I'll put it in the description below in case it's something you want to check out. So on my list, I would say I don't think it should be my responsibility to spend $500 to buy radiator guards for the front end. I'm sorry, but Chevy should have made those grills standard on the car so that we didn't have to go out and buy aftermarket ones. I find that the ventilated seats in this car are crap. They don't work very well. The ones in our 2020 Blazer have worked far much better. And then I would tell you that the cell phone charger, while it works great, is in a terrible location. Now, I understand you're not supposed to be playing with your cell phone when you're in your car, etc. But I'm sorry. It's hard to get back there and stick it in. And guaranteed, I'm going to leave it in the car when I get out. and there's a little message that comes up on the screen, and of course I never see it. Next thing you know, I've walked in the store or wherever I'm going, and then I realize, oh crap, I left the cell phone in the car. So those would be my biggest complaints, I would say. Added to the fact, of course, the trunk gets really warm, and so you got to be careful what you put back there. So if you got ice cream you're bringing home from the grocery store, put it up in the front. Those would be my complaints as far as what I don't like about the car. And that's my one-year update on our 2023 Corvette. My wife and I truly love this car. It's been a lot of fun. We are looking forward to putting 100,000 miles on this car over the course of the, say, next 8 or 10 years. And if you're thinking about buying a C8, I highly recommend them. My name is Tom Stroup. You've been watching Find the Right Road. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time.